Okay, guys, this is video number 5. I meant to do this yesterday, but of course, my man got home. So, where did I leave off at? The week, it was like a month before my birthday. He had asked me if I was at another answer for it happening. And I told him, I said, I don't know yet. I'm still thinking. And he was very persistent. Like, he kept bringing it up and bringing it up and bringing it up and bringing it up and driving me crazy about it. And at that time, I was a young girl, like, very young, very manipulative, and all that shit. So, like, a week after, okay. Oh, let me rewind myself. The day that the cops showed up at school, it was about what he had asked me about. So we're all out in the middle of the hallway. Well, not the hallway, but the, like, open area. And we see cops, we see the school principal, the school administrator, and all that shit. His teacher come up to me and was asking me, he was like, what's his deal? He completely just flipped in class. And I was like, what do you mean he flipped in class? And he was like, he had a graduation thing he had to get done. He completely just went all the way, like, AWOL. Like, he went nuts. Like, he literally went nuts. And I was like, I know what it's about. It's pretty embarrassing. I'd rather not say, because it's kind of a private thing. And he was like, all okay. So he was like, do you have his mom and dad's what's called number? I said, no, I don't. And I said, his mom and dad don't even know about me. And he was like, okay, I'll have to figure it out. So my girlfriends asked me, what is going on? I said, he flipped out because I haven't gave him an answer yet. And they're like, flipped out over what? I was like, what do you think? And they're like, oh. I was like, yeah. And they were like, he flipped out over that? I was like, yeah, he flipped. And me knowing that he flipped, it kind of made me look at things, like, just way differently. And it made me look at things in a whole different light. And for him to, how do I say this? For him to overreact like that made me think in the back of my mind that for a man to flip out over something like that, something's not right. And so I didn't put too much mind to it. I got home. He had just gotten out of jail because his parents got him out of jail. He just got his vehicle back and all that shit. And he had started calling me. And I'm like, why the fuck did you flip out at school? I said, why the fuck did you act like that? And he was like, I don't know. I just feel like in my heart, you don't want me. You don't love me. You don't want what we talked about. And I said, where's all this coming from? And he was like, I don't know. I just feel in my heart that you don't love me. You're not there yet with me. You are feeling uncomfortable and all this shit. I was like, well, first of all, I said, I'm still a young girl. I said, I'm a month away from my birthday. And I told him, I said, when I'm ready, I'll let you know. And he was like, he kept asking me, and I mean, he was persistent about it. He was like, do you love me? I was like, where is this coming from? And he's like, just answer me. I was like, yes, I love you. Why do you keep bringing this up? And he's like, I see the way that guys at school look at you. You look at them like the same way. I said, first of all, the guys at school don't mean shit to me. And I said, for you to overreact like that was so embarrassing. And I told him, I said, does your mom and dad know about me yet? And he's like, no, I haven't told them yet. He's like, I plan on telling them. And he was like, I want to come over. I want to come pick you up. I want to go somewhere and talk. And so I was like, okay, just come over, come get me. That's fine. I'm not going to argue about it. So while I was waiting on him to come get me, my grandma asked me, she's like, what happened at school? I was like, he lost his motherfucking mind, flipped out over something that me and him talked about, and he went nuts. The cops got called at school. Everything went chaotic. And it was just like a weird moment, because how are you supposed to tell your parent about something that embarrassing? And, you know, in that moment, it made me think, like, why in the hell would a man overreact over something that fucking childish? Like, why overreact over something that fucking dumb? And I had happened to get a DM on Facebook from his friend Jake. And he was like, hey, what's going on? I was like, what do you mean? I was like, why are you blowing me up? If he knows you're talking to me, he's going to flip the fuck out. And he's like, he don't have to know. He doesn't need to know. You know, he doesn't have to know this, this, or this. And I was like, okay, whatever. I'm not going to argue about it. And so he had pulled up in my driveway. He honked the horn. I went outside. I was dressed kind of provocative. Because, yeah, at that moment, I was showing off, looking cute, looking hot, looking good. And in that moment, when I got in his truck, I was a nervous freaking wreck. And I got in, and I had, I think, a pair of jeans on or something. And my jeans were all jacked up, because that's how it was, basically, back then. He literally grabs my leg and, like, opens my legs and puts his hand right on my thigh. And where we were going to, we were talking. He's like, you're my girl, you're nobody else's. Do you get that? I was like, yes, I get it. I said, why are you overreacting for? And he's like, I'm not overreacting, and this and this and that. So we get to the park, and the next thing I know, he comes around, opens my door. And it wasn't even a split second I got out of the truck. And when I got out of the truck, he kind of pushed me up against the back, well, not the back of the truck, but like this side of the fucking truck. And he's like, there's something I want to basically say to you. I'm like, what's that? He's like, and I never thought, at being like 17 and a half, about to be 18 years old, I never thought that I would have heard somebody say this. And people in high school was like, y'all are high school fucking sweethearts. Y'all love each other. Y'all need to just be with each other. And he looks at me and he goes, I am madly in love with you. I was like, what? I was like, are you kidding me? He's like, no. And he's like grabbing me, pulling me in on him. And he's like, I'm madly in love with you. He's like, you're my baby. You're my girl. You're my woman. You're everything to me. And in that moment, I'm thinking, this can't be happening. Like, this cannot be happening. And so during that moment, I had gotten upset, not in like a bad way, but a good way. Spur of the moment type shit. And I had told him when I was young, I was like, I'm in love with like you too. And we started technically kissing and making out. And he was like telling me, he's like, I love you. I want us to get married. I want us to live together. And this is where things got weird. He was like, I want us to have a baby. I was like, what? I looked at him, I said, Chris, what are you thinking? He's like, baby, I'm in love with you. He's like, I am madly in love with you. I want to marry you. I want to be with each other. He's like, our families cannot be keeping us apart because there's just no way in hell. And in that moment, me being young and dumb and stupid and very immature, I just didn't know how to go about it. And I told him, I said, I have one more year left of school. I said, you're going to have to wait. And he was like, I don't care. I'll wait just to be with you. I'm madly in love with you. I want to marry you. You're my high school sweetheart. I want to get like engaged. I want to give you everything. And in that moment, I'm just flabbergasted. Like, I am just completely flabbergasted. And I didn't really bring this up with my grandparents at the time because I didn't want to get them involved. And I was like, I looked at him and I said, this is a lot to process. This is a lot to like even take on. This is a lot for me to even deal with. And I said, you overreacting at school was way out of line. I said, you overreacting and going nutso was not okay. I said, you embarrassed me to hell and back. And so he's like, I know you're going into your, you're in your year of high school and everything else. He's like, you're my girlfriend. You're with me. You're not to be with nobody else. You're not to have no guy friends. You're not to have nobody around you. He's like, I will pick you up at school. I will take you to school. I will drop you off at school. You're going to come and be with me. And that's when things went fucking nuts. Stay tuned for part 6.